So I've been promising you guys more 3DS videos, and you've all waited very patiently. And I thank you for the comments. I thank you for the questions on when more 3DS videos are going to come. And today we're going to go ahead and jump into the next one. This one's going to be an overview of the launch titles, at least some of the ones that I've picked up. And these are by no means full reviews for the games because I haven't put enough time into any one game in order to give you a decent review. Instead, we'll take a look at some of the aspects of the games, and I'll give you some first impressions based on what I've played of the games and let you know what I think. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the video. So I picked up thus far 4 3DS games. I picked up 2 on day one, and shortly after that next week, Toys R Us was having a buy one, get one 50% off on all 3DS games. So I went ahead and picked up 2 more games. Now, let me just say right off the bat, I don't feel like there's any one game on this system at this point that is a system seller. That's not to sell any of these games short, because obviously there's some good titles. Street Fighter 4 3DS version is a good game. However, a lot of people have already played that on the console. And if you played the console version, chances are you've already experienced what that game has to offer. Like I said, it doesn't mean the game's not good, but there's no one particular system seller, and that's oftentimes what we get when we have a new system out on the market. The first wave of games, really, there's maybe 1 or 2 in the entire bunch that sell the system, or don't sell the system necessarily, but actually are worthwhile as far as playing. And we have to wait a little while before we get those massive big blockbuster titles that are system sellers. Let me go ahead and jump into this, and I'll show you guys the 4 games that I picked up for the 3DS, and then we'll start the overviews of each of those games. So here are the 4 3DS games that I own right now. And as I said, I picked up 2 of these on day one when I picked up my system. The other 2 I picked up at the buy one, get one 50% off sale that Toys R Us had. I have in my collection right now Samurai Warriors Chronicles. Also Street Fighter 4 3D Edition. Ridge Racer 3D. And last but not least, Pilotwings. Now, Pilotwings and Super Street Fighter 3D were the games that I picked up on day one. These are the 2 games that I was really most excited about in terms of launch titles and at least day one launch games because this system, strangely enough, has a very large launch window going all the way into like June. So when you say launch titles, it's kind of misleading because the launch games for this system, like I said, this window extends for several months. But day one games, these are the 2 that I was most excited about. And I'll explain some of that a little bit later on. Now, these 2, Samurai Warriors Chronicles and Ridge Racer 3D, were 2 other titles that I was really curious to play on the system. I've seen some different things, some different reviews on them, and with that buy one, get one 50% off sale, I felt like it was a good chance to add more games to my collection and to really experience more of what the 3DS has to offer. So that's why I went ahead and picked up these 2 games. They weren't games that I would have probably picked up had they been regular price, but with that sale, I felt like it was a good opportunity to add a little bit more to the collection. Now, what I think that Super Street Fighter 4 3D Edition does better than probably any other 3DS launch title is the fact that it really shows the graphical capabilities of what 3DS has to offer. I was really surprised off the bat when I started playing this game just to see how powerful the system was, how well they did it, as far as translating this game to a handheld device. And, in all honesty, this is probably one of the better handheld fighting games that I've ever played. I'll admit that I'm not the biggest Street Fighter fan, and that may or may not disappoint some of you out there. However, this was a game that I knew day one I was going to get well before I picked up the system. I knew I was going to pick this up. Let's go ahead and take a look at the packaging. One thing you'll notice with this game is that the initial launch copies, and I don't know how long that'll extend for, came in this really cool with a slip cover here that is 3D. It's more like a holographic image on the front of it. You slide that off and you have the standard packaging underneath. Now all of these 3DS games are packaged in the same way, same manner, whereas with the original DS games they had the DS information or the DS logo here on the side. The 3DS has gone to this style where it has it over on the other side. The one thing you'll also notice with these cases, they're a little bit thinner. I don't have a case to compare it with right off hand right now, but this is a little bit thinner when you hold it up to the original DS cases, at least here in North America. Now, the one thing that's interesting is that Nintendo seems to embrace this whole green-friendly case design, and instead of putting a big gaping hole behind where the disc is like the 360 games do, they have a bunch of these smaller holes throughout the case, and it extends over to this side as well. Let's take a look at the instruction booklet for Super Street Fighter 3D. This is a very large instruction manual. It really breaks down the game for you, gives you everything that you need, even includes a lot of the special moves and different moves for the characters in here, and it's all in color, which is a really nice addition, really nice feature, because we know how manufacturers are nowadays, where they like to cheap out on the instruction manual. So overall, really nice packaging designed by Capcom, and really nice layout for the package on this game. Now, one of the best things about this game also is the fact that it really shows off what the 3DS can do in terms of online play. This probably has the best social features out of all of the 3DS titles that have come out thus far. When I first got this game, I was obviously really interested to see how smoothly the online fighting aspect of it was. And off the bat, I jumped in. I tried to join a room, and it took a little bit of time, so I backed out of that. And then what I did is I just created my own room, and within a matter of a few seconds, I was playing a game against somebody else. So really smooth, flawless. I haven't experienced any problems with it, and it may depend on your connection speed or whatnot, but overall, the online play is a lot of fun. Now, the only gripe that I have, and it's probably because I haven't gotten deep enough into the game itself, is the fact that they have on the bottom screen, the layout is basically for some of the super moves and some of the special moves that is a one-touch move. Now, when I get online and I go to play with other people, that is still there, and I thought that I had heard or read somewhere that option was that it was optional rather, and that you could actually choose whether or not you wanted that. However, I haven't found the option to turn that off. So it's a little bit unfortunate. And as I said, I'm not the biggest fighting game fan. So for me, I do like this game. Is it a must-buy? Not necessarily. If you're a fan of the Street Fighter games, it's definitely a must-buy. If you're hesitant and you're not really sure if you want to play a fighting game, I would say maybe hold off on this one until it drops in price a little bit. All these games that I'm showing you today all retail for $39.99, which seems to be about the norm for all the 3DS games. The next game I want to talk to you guys about is Pilotwings. Well, I should say Pilotwings Resort. This game was actually probably the one game out of all of the launch titles that I really was eager to play because I was a big fan, and I've been a big fan of the Pilotwing games, ranging from the Super Nintendo game to the N64 game. I think they're really cool, a lot of fun. And now let me just go ahead and tell you what I think about this game. Probably the most disappointing aspect of Pilotwings Resort is the fact that the gameplay has been somewhat simplified. It's much easier than what I remember the Super Nintendo game to be, and overall they've made this a little bit more accessible. Now, obviously the addition of resort in the title allows you to know that this does kind of follow suit with Wii Sports, because you're playing on the island from Wii Sports Resort. And with that, I think that that's kind of where they added on some of the easier aspects of this game. That's not to say this game isn't fun, because this game is a lot of fun, but the challenge level is a little bit simpler than what I would expect, or what I would really prefer to see. So let's go ahead and take a look at the packaging on it. Right up front, I mean, it's got that typical Wii Sports style packaging. In the back, it gives some of the information, some of the breakdown. And let's take a look at the inside of it. And inside, you'll see that it has Super Street Fighter 4 3D in there. Here you have the information for some of the other Nintendo 3DS games, and then you have the Club Nintendo points below that. And you have the instruction manual. And in typical Nintendo fashion, it is all in color. It's a really nice looking instruction manual, and it really does give off that Nintendo vibe. It looks a lot like what they packaged in with the 3DS system itself, in terms of the instructional booklet and everything in there. Same design to the case itself. So overall, I would say that this game is a worthwhile purchase if you're looking for a fun game. As far as 3D is concerned, I think that this game incorporates the 3D the best out of all of them. Maybe not in the gameplay aspect of it, but more so in the way that it represents the 3D, and in the way that you see the 3D on screen. It looks great. It's really a lot of fun to play in 3D, and I even have the adjuster turned up to the highest setting. It hasn't caused me any problems, no headaches, anything like that. Now, I will say that I haven't played a ton of this game, but from what I have played, it's an awesome game. I would say that this is probably one of the better titles if you're looking to pick up any 3DS game. If anybody's really curious to see what the 3D looks like on the 3DS, I would check out this title. And I know that your experience is going to differ depending on how well you see the 3D or whatnot. Now, where they dropped the ball is in the social aspect of this game. It would have been cool if they had incorporated something online with this. I don't know how they would have done it. Maybe with I don't know. Honestly, I'm not really sure how they could have incorporated the online, but there could have been different ways that they did that. But it's a little bit shallow on that, and it's a little bit shallow in the features. As I said, it's a fun game. It's worth owning. It would be nice if it was a lower price point, around $30. However, I'm glad that I picked up this game, and I definitely have had a lot of fun with it.